It's Weird Medicine, the first and still only uncensored medical show in the history of broadcast radio and the longest running show on this channel. I'm Dr. Steve with my little pal, Dr. Scott, the traditional Chinese medicine provider who gives me street cred, the whack alternative medicine assholes. Hello, Dr. Scott.
Hey, Dr. Steve.
This is a show for people who never listen to a medical show on the radio. If you've got a question you're embarrassed to take to your regular medical provider, if you can't find an answer anywhere else, give us a call, 347-766-4323. That's 347
Pooh Head.
Visit our website at drsteve.com for podcast, medical news, and stuff you can buy. I can't mention contractually. Most importantly, we are not your medical providers. Take everything here with a grain of salt. Don't act on anything you hear on the show without talking it over with your doctor, nurse practitioner, physician assistant, pharmacist, chiropractor, acupuncturist, yoga master, physical therapist, or whatever. All right, very good. Don't forget Dr. Scott's website at simplyherbals.net. That's simplyherbals.net. How things going over there, Dr. Scott?
Pretty good. Been pretty busy. Thank you very much.
Yeah. Oh, very good. Okay. You need some tchotchkes to send out to people.
We're getting close. Yep.
If you order something from Dr. Scott and you say that you listen to Weird Medicine, he sends you this stupid crap. People tweet it out. Look what Dr. Scott sent me. But it's all,
fancy stuff,
swag that we make. That's Weird Medicine themed. And check out drsteve.com. And then check me out on Normal World. The last one I did was the spectrum of feces, and I don't think it went over so well. I think it was a little bit too gross. I may have to back off. I mean, Landau just had the big, it looked like deer in the headlight, and I don't know if they had prepped him for it.
Oh, really?
Or what? But yeah, I don't think they liked it very much.
Gosh.
So that's too bad.
Poop talk. That's important stuff, though.
But because I've learned how to do some of this stuff with them and watch them do it and, ask questions and all that when I was there at the studio, I've been doing some of my own. So I did one for Eric Nagel's 10th anniversary for his show and just did it in front of the green screen, edited it and, added the background and images and assets and stuff like that. It was fun. And I did one on borderline personality disorder, not talking about anyone in particular. Check that out at Dr. Steve. No, at Weird. That's not right. None of those are right. Check that out on youtube.com/@weirdmedicine. And I'm going to be doing more of that stuff. And the Patreon channel, patreon.com/weirdmedicine, gets all that stuff first.
Cool.
And then it sits there for a while and then it goes over to the other side. So anyway, all right. Very good. You got any topics for us today, Dr. Scott?
I could come up with a couple if we need to.
Wait, you're doing show prep now after we've started the show.
Pretty much.
No,
is that how it works?
No.
Well, shoot. No. I do have an interesting story about an American.
This is not how sane people act.
I must have slept through the show prep as one. I did see this interestingly. An American family members who consumed undercooked bear meat infected with brain worms.
Oh yeah, no, that's a real thing.
Yeah, so it's interesting.
If you're going to eat wild meat, particularly, cook it thoroughly.
Yes, yeah. Well,
the only stuff you don't have to cook all the way through is beef, and that's because of the structure of beef and the fact that we have the USDA that makes sure that there aren't parasites in our beef supply, or does the best that they can to prevent that. Some stuff will still slip through, but you can eat undercooked beef, and I'm told that you can eat undercooked pork now. That there is no cysticercosis in our pork supply at all.
Wow.
So you can, but I'm not eating undercooked pork, but I'm just saying they are telling me that you could eat pork tartare now and it would be safe.
Have you ever eaten steak tartare or beef tartare? No, I haven't.
No.
I can't even imagine.
It's got the raw egg is what scares me about it. It's not the beef.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I don't like it just doesn't seem too appealing to me.
But you'll eat raw fish though.
I will eat sushi.
So why is that different? Well, you don't eat meat anyway.
No, I guess because they come from the ocean, they've been washed and
right.
I don't know.
There's no shit or urine or feces.
Nothing else. So they've been thoroughly bathed.
Fish and whale feces and not on, even including the human
Right.
waste
Right. Hey, by the way, speaking of
and mercury.
going to the ocean, we're headed up to New England and Maine next week. We're gonna hopefully eat some good sushi. All right, back to brain worms. Blah blah.
Oh, wow, that is very interesting. Please tell me more.
Well, fine. So this family ate some undercooked bear, and they all got.
Does it say what brain worm it was?
Yes, it does. It starts with a T, and the reason. Well,
is this a quiz?
No. It's I thought it was trichinosis, but it's not trichinosis. It's but the reason I thought this was kind of an interesting article is because the Kennedy, who's running for president, I guess, is saying he had a brain worm.
Oh, Robert Kennedy.
Yeah, Robert Kennedy. Yeah.
Do we know what his brain worm was?
I think it's this one. It's Trichинella.
Trichinella.
Trichinella. Yeah.
Okay.
And what they say is this one particular type of brain worm is a resistance to freezing, but if you'll cook your food to at least 165 degrees Fahrenheit, you'll kill the parasite. So there you go. Make sure you eat your
Trichinella is a roundworm. It causes trichinosis, and they're called trichina worms. And they're nematodes. They got a one-way digestive tract. And let me see where we. Okay, let's just go to the CDC on this one. The life cycle is the encysted larva is in striated muscle. And see, this is what they're telling me that we don't have in the pork supply anymore.
Okay, trichinella. Okay. Because
trichinosis and cysticercosis were the two things that you worried about with pigs. And so then and then you ingest undercooked meat, and then the larva is released in the small intestine, and the adults develop in the small intestine, and then the larva go into your striated muscle and make cysts. And then these encysted larvae are in the striated muscle, and then there's a cycle in pigs and there's a cycle in bears, and you just have to cook your meat if you're going to eat this stuff.
Well, they're saying like in Canada, up to they hypothesize 50% of the bear and deer.
Well, just assume all of it does.
Well, yeah, I mean you need to, but that's the important thing about cooking your meat thoroughly.
Let's see what Robert Kennedy had. It says Robert Kennedy brain worm, since you brought it up.
Yeah.
It says doctors found a dead worm in his brain. Goodness gracious.
That's not good.
Let me see.
Wonder how they found it dead. Did they do a craniotomy and actually pull it out?
I don't know. Isn't that something?
Yeah.
But he had brain fog. He originally suspected that symptoms might be caused by a brain tumor. Brain scans in 2010 showed a cyst that his doctor said contained the remains of a parasite. So he might have had trichinosis. Wow. Oh, now they're saying here that it could have been a brain infection caused by the pork tapeworm Taenia solium. It's a big deal in Latin America, Sub-Saharan Africa, India, and other parts of Asia. Leading cause of acquired seizures. Neurocysticercosis is a major disease. Kind of funny that these are circumstances which people are paying attention to it. Yeah, that it's Robert Kennedy said that he had a brain worm. So isn't that interesting?
I mean, wild, yeah, it's crazy.
I was not aware that the pork tapeworm could infect the brain as well. Raccoon roundworms. Not that many people are eating raccoon meat. Rat lungworms can produce larvae that will travel through the human body in order to try to find tissue that they prefer, and they end up in the brain sometimes. It's just an accident. They don't prefer to be there. They just accidentally end up there. Wow.
I'll go one more if you want it.
Yeah, heck yeah. That was a good one.
Yeah, thank you. That's nothing like show prep. Hey, so here's your next topic. This comes from the Wall Street Journal.
Okay.
Anger does a lot more damage to your body than you realize.
Yeah.
So a couple things that anger does bother you. We've all had an idea that anger is not the healthiest thing for you.
Well, stress is bad, and anger,
worse.
Induces a stress reaction.
Yeah. So scientists did some research, and they tested blood vessels and the periphery. So they did the cuffs on the arms and the legs,
Yep.
and tested the blood flow through the arms and legs when they made people in one group angry.
How they make
versus-
them angry.
Well, that's what I was. It didn't say how they made them angry. It just said
You're
those.
stupid.
It just said those
You're
in the angry
stupid.
group.
No, you
That's-
are.
That's all it says. Those in the angry group. Hey, hell, they probably made them listen to weird medicine or
Right.
the poop talk, and they got angry. But so a couple things it does bother specifically is the gastrointestinal system, because when you get angry, the sympathetic nervous system gets activated and shunts the blood away from the gut
Sure.
to the major muscles. So that slows your gastric your peristalsis, slows your gastric emptying. So people tend to get constipated. And of course, there's nothing like being cranky-pated. And that will affect your absorption and certainly of the nutrients into your body. The brain obviously is harmed, but it can cause anger over time can affect your cognitive functioning due to the high levels of stress hormones that are released, and
Yeah.
can damage nerve cells in your prefrontal cortex in your hippocampus.
Well, it's interesting. So here, I asked, how do they? Well, why is the camera going nuts like that? Sorry, I got distracted.
Squirrel.
How do they? Right. How do they induce anger in the laboratory? It says recalling personal memories, evoking the mood suggested by the sentence or memory. And there's this thing called the Velton mood induction procedure. They use images or film excerpts. But one of the fun ones that I just read about was some studies have found that people report increased anger in response to music like rap, heavy metal, or Japanese noise music. So they play music for these people. They go, whoa, those damn kids.
Damn kids, what music they listen to.
They ought to just have kids come up onto their lawn.
Yes.
Get off my lawn, you rascals. Autobiographic recall. Researchers may ask participants to think or write about a time in their past when they experienced anger. This is bullshit. That's not, that's the problem with this, is you're trying to study people's reaction to anger in a clinical setting. And then you have to use all these artificial means to induce anger. It's like the pain thing with rats where they'll put them on a hot plate and you see how long it takes for them to start dancing.
Yep.
Because, it's ridiculous. It doesn't really tell you anything.
Mm-hmm.
So I have some issues with this. Now, if they could get in somebody's face and just start screaming at them or something, like you get Gunnery Sergeant Hartman, to scream in their face.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you're a disgusting fat body pile.
Yes.
Then maybe I could buy it.
Yeah.
But if you ask me to write down the last time I was angry, I can't do that. I have this weird inability to be able to do that. I can tell you about stuff that happened to me in the past that was fucked up. But if you said, when was a recent time that you were angry? And that happened to me the first time I went to a shrink. They asked me that.
Oh,
I said, I can't think of, I know that I was, but I can't think of it. They said, that's very
suppression.
very significant. And then they never explain why.
I can tell you last time you were angry.
Can you? I can't.
Oh, I've got an idea.
Really?
Yeah. So it would be interesting if they allowed you to tell them what made you really angry.
Well, and then they could do it.
Like what makes me, drives me absolutely nuts is people driving in the passing lane on the interstate from a certain state that's right next door to our state.
Yeah.
They barely make the speed limit, and
Yeah.
they just kind of park over there and
What pisses me
infuriates
off, that's infuriating. What infuriates me is they put in all these roundabouts here
Yeah.
and nobody knows how to work them. I had a lady go onto a roundabout and take a left and start going the wrong way. And I really wanted to just go around the right way and meet her, in the middle and then just lay on the horn. That's really what I wanted to do.
Yep.
There's even a sign. They have signs that say, go this way.
Yep. And the natural inclination, at least in America, is to go to the right. I mean,
Of course.
kind of the way
She
we do
literally
things.
took a left on a roundabout. And then I had another guy stop in the middle of the roundabout. Okay, I'm on one of the in ramps, right?
Yep.
And he just stops in the middle of it and waves me to come on in. Come on in. And I'm like, no. And he starts being very vociferous and waving, come on in like that. And I kept shaking my head. No, you are a fool, sir. And so I finally just sat back and put my hands at 10 and 2 and just looked straight forward until this idiot screeched off mad like I'm the asshole.
You're the jerk. Yeah. Isn't that funny?
Idiots.
Yeah, I can't imagine. I'd like to hear some. Maybe that's what we should do one of these days. Get some of our trucker friends to tell us some of their favorite, angry stories,
or Brits about dumb Americans trying to drive in England.
Oh God, that's going to be awful.
They have 2-lane roundabouts. How do you get out of the inner lane?
I guess you speed up.
I guess,
The centrifugal force.
It's very confusing.
Throws you to the outside, I guess.
Well, all right. That what you got for today? What was the second one?
It was
the anger one.
The anger one, yeah.
That's bullshit. All right. 1 for 2, not bad. All right. You ready to answer some questions?
Let's do it.
All right.
Number one thing, don't take advice from some asshole on the radio.
All right. Let's try this one first.
Hey, Dr. Steve.
Hey, man.
My name is Jeff.
Hey,
I
Jeff.
am 55 years old. Recently, I had stomach pain, cramping up, really wasn't hungry, couldn't eat a whole lot. Hard to go to the bathroom. Actually, couldn't go to the bathroom for a day or so. Healthy, no history of cancer.
Okay, for one thing, when you hear about sharp abdominal pain and then they can't move their bowels, you start thinking about things like appendicitis and stuff like that, because the bowel gets so inflamed, it just paralyzes.
There's no traumas. Maybe 25 pounds overweight, but very active.
Okay.
I had to go to the hospital this February with an intussusception just below my diaphragm. And they held me overnight to double check to make sure that it went away. They said it was rare in adults. And the next morning it went away. So fast forward another.
Sorry, I was distracted. My camera has an AI thing and it's seeing Jim Florentine up on the wall and trying to zoom in on him. That's what's going on. I got to turn the lights on in here. But did he say he had an intussusception?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. We'll talk about that in just a second.
15 or 16 hours. Doubled over with pain. I couldn't stand up straight. I couldn't bend over. I went back to the hospital. They did imaging. They found what they thought was an internal hernia and or a blockage in my intestine. This was at Sunday morning at 6:30. They did surgery at 11:30 on Sunday. They found nothing. They did orthoscopy surgery, 4 holes in my stomach, 4 holes. The doctor searched the top.
Wait, 4 holes in his abdomen, he means. They didn't find holes in his stomach.
No.
Okay.
The bottom and could not find anything. However, he did see where the intussusception was due to the irritation of the bowel or the intestine.
Yes, that's what he had.
What do you suppose could cause this?
Yeah. Okay. So this guy had an intussusception. And what this is can be life-threatening. It's when part of the intestine folds on itself like a telescope and one section slips inside the other like a sleeve. And when you do that, you've just got a crazy topographic kink in the bowel and it will obstruct. And so food can't get through, gas can't get through. It causes intense pain.
And can cause, cellular death, blood,
Yeah,
blood
that's
can
right.
get
That's
trapped.
right. Because the blood supply is
Can
cut
get
off to
pinched,
that part of the bowel. If it's bad enough that section of the bowel could actually die. So he had it resolved on its own. And then he went back because it came back and they did surgery and they saw where it had been. And it's almost like this, the intestine is eating itself, like the worm Ouroboros, where the worm is eating its own tail.
Swallowing itself.
Yeah, it's like, but so this resolved on its own. I'm assuming that they put a stitch or two there so to keep it from happening again, to sock everything down. But it's rare in adults. And it's challenging to identify because the symptoms mimic so many other things and nobody's thinking about intussusception.
Right.
And, people could have symptoms for weeks before seeking medical attention. So what I'm hoping is that the bowel, once it was opened up, starts to scar down a little bit, and
It doesn't fold on itself anymore.
it won't fold in on itself anymore. Now, this can happen in adults because there's a polyp there.
Mhm.
And it causes the bowel to sort of swallow itself. You could have adhesions. Anytime people do weight loss surgery, they increase the risk of intussusception. But things like Crohn's disease can cause swelling in the small intestine, and then the swollen section starts getting swallowed by the section distal to it that's got a nice thin wall instead of a big thick inflamed wall. So I'm hoping that they checked him for all of that stuff.
Sure.
And but if it never happens again, well, you have an interesting story to tell.
Yeah, because that is pretty rare.
Yeah, exceedingly rare.
Mhm.
Intussusception